So, Derek, you know how excited I am for Super Nintendo World, right?
I don't think anybody else is more excited, honestly.
Right? So this is why I'm really mixed right now. I'm excited and a little bit disappointed. I'm having like a roller coaster of emotions right now based on this new rumor from WFTV9, a local Orlando news area station, where they're reporting that according to their sources, the plans for Super Nintendo World have changed. So apparently, as we knew it before, Super Nintendo World is going to open up in the KidZone in Universal Studios Florida, which is right behind Simpsons Land. So it's going to take over the land that had such well-known characters these days, like Woody Woodpecker and Barney the Dinosaur. It was going to take over the whole land, where we're going to get new rides like Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. Apparently, that's no longer the case. Those rides are still coming, but not until 2023 now, as part of a new theme park Universal is opening up on a giant section of land that they bought not too long ago down the street from their current parks. So, on the one hand, that sucks, because 2023 is nowhere close. On the other hand, that's actually kind of cool, because we're going to have way more land to work with. We could potentially get something way more elaborate than the other Super Nintendo Worlds opening up around the world. So instead, though, in the meantime, apparently what's going in the KidZone now is a new Pokemon area. Now, they're pretty light on the details, so we don't know if this is like a whole new overlay, if they're like, or rather like a whole revamp, if they're redoing the whole land, or if it's just going to take a part of the land, or if it might be a retheme of the land. We're not quite sure. But yeah, as it stands now, Pokemon Park, or Pokemon's coming to Universal Studios in 2020, so pretty soon, and the rest that we were expecting is now not coming until 2023. So I already gave some of my thoughts, both right now as well as in our update on this news, but what do you think about this, Derek?
I mean, on the one hand, it does suck because, like, we've been hearing about Super Nintendo World for a while now, and 2020 is slowly getting closer. And then they just moved the goalpost, so that does kind of suck. On the other hand, as far as I can tell, it's still planned for 2020 in Universal Studios, Hollywood, and Japan, right?
According to the article, that is correct. I don't know, or for Japan, yes. Hollywood is apparently opening before Orlando, but I don't think we have a date for that one yet.
Okay, so I mean, I know you. You're going to go to Japan to go to Super Nintendo World.
I mean, you're right. So, yeah, ultimately, this really changes nothing for me. But I'm going, wherever Nintendo World opens, I'm going to. And plus, Hollywood's way closer to me anyway, so.
Exactly. So it doesn't affect you that much, but the sheer fact that Super Nintendo World is technically getting its own park, which gives it a much more of an opportunity to be just as all-encompassing as the Harry Potter land, that makes it almost more exciting. This might be the definitive version, which might be why it takes a little bit longer. But man, it sucks that it's taken so long, but I like the potential of this, especially if the piece of land they picked up is as big as you say. That is really exciting and a good idea on their part. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get Nintendo fans in there. Another really good idea, replacing KidZone with Pokemon. It might be just a revamp or just covering up things with Pokemon stuff instead of these other characters. But for the long term, Pokemon makes way more sense. Like, I brought up a list here of what exactly was in KidZone, because I've honestly never been to any Universal Studios park. So I really don't know that much about it. But man, as you were saying, we have some really contemporary stuff here. Like the animal actors on location, A Day in the Park with Barney, which I'm not even sure is on TV anymore, Curious George Goes to Town, Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, Fievel's Playland, and E.T. Adventure. I don't even know if kids know who half these characters are at this point. They were like kind of old when I was a kid. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, Fievel might be the only exception, and Barney.
No, I mean, I think you're totally hitting it all on the head right here. Like, Pokemon really does seem like a perfect replacement for an area called KidZone. Because, we all know exactly what they're gonna, we all know what they're preparing for Pokemon Land, but it probably will be, more, younger themed, and that really does seem like the perfect property to take over a kid-themed area. So I'm hoping, again, we don't know to what extent they're doing this. They could retheme some things and build some new attractions. Like they could retheme the Woody Woodpecker coaster to be something Pokemon related. I'm not quite sure what. Maybe you'd have a better idea. But regardless, I think this is kind of exciting. I mean, yeah, ultimately, like, in the long term, I think this is all good news. So in the short term, it's a little bit disappointing because I'm impatient. I want Nintendo stuff now. But long term, this is actually ideal. Like, I think, yeah, again, Pokemon's a good fit there. And putting the rest of Nintendo stuff in a whole new theme park where it'll hopefully have much more land to play with and more room for future expansion, that's perfect. Like, my concern before was, like, hey, they're not gonna have any room here to expand. It's bumped up against like the boundaries of the park and Simpsons Land. And I was kind of hoping it's like, why not just take out Simpsons Land at the time? Like that's also kind of like a dated property too. I feel like, who cares anymore about Simpsons? Forget the problem with the poo, the problem with Simpsons in general.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. And even then, like I said, Pokemon is a perfect thing for that. It's been around for 20 years, yes, but the way Pokemon is handled, it's constantly updating. Universal has a property now with whatever this Pokemon world ends up being. There's going to be new Pokemon just about every 3 to 5 years, and that they can update with, get people excited. And I've told this story before, at least on Twitter, where my nephew knows nothing about Pokemon, but he saw a Pikachu plush in a store once and immediately wanted it. And now he's into Pokemon.
Well, there you go.
He's watching the Pokemon anime on Netflix and everything. So he is completely into Pokemon, hasn't played a game at all. He's like 4 now, and this is a brilliant idea because that is just some immediately likable characters. You get your Pikachu stuff out there, kids will line up for it. You're in good shape.
No, I think the timetable makes sense. I mean, I think opening with Pokemon first makes a lot of sense in the KidZone again, for all the reasons you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually pretty on board with all this. So, obviously you're the Pokemon guy here, more the Pokemon guy than I am. Do you have any ideas for, like, any kind of attractions they could maybe open up here? Whether it's a retheme or something completely new. Like, I guess as one who's played pretty much every Pokemon game, what would you kind of hope from this land?
It's a little hard to tell. Like, Animal Actors on Vacation, they could retheme that as like, hey, these Pokemon are based on these animals. Here's what they're actually like.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
They probably won't do that because that kind of breaks the immersion.
A little bit. That is a good point.
I do like the concept of that.
Day in the park with Barney, day in the park with Pikachu. Walk around with Pikachu.
They already have Pokepark, so...
Yeah, exactly. It is perfect for that. I don't know what some of these other ones are as far as like a playland. Like, there's obviously like, turn Fievel's Playland into just the Poke Park and just theme it with various jungle gym stuff around Pokemon. I'm not quite sure what KidZone looks like. As far as a coaster, who to theme it around, my first guess is Mewtwo, but it might be a little intense for the kids. I'm not sure about
the existing coaster is pretty tame, so...
Okay, yeah, so, trying to think of tame, but, like, I'm thinking Nut House type thing, and, I don't know, let's get nuts with Psyduck or something like that.
There we go. So, yeah, and I think it's possible they could reuse the existing infrastructure, but, like, I hope that they really just do a complete rebuild.
Do you think they could do that in 2 years?
I mean, 2.5, yeah, that is a good point. But, I mean, if it's still kid-focused, going to be lower... I don't want to say quality, I guess, but like more simpler,
less intensive.
Yeah, it's gonna be less intensive, right? Like if you look at, here's a good comparison. In Disney World, they're building Toy Story Land right now, or Woody's. I was gonna call it Woody Woodpecker, but Woody from the Woody from the movies. I forget what it's called, Toy Story Playland or something. And they put that together pretty quick, and that's because it's not like. It looks pretty well themed, but it's not to the extent that, like, Avatar or Star Wars Land is going to be, or Harry Potter. It's definitely simpler. Like, you have a bunch of, like, plastic toys, essentially, right? So it's simpler in concept. I think they could do something like that for Pokemon as well. So if they shut down KidZone within the next few months, I think they could turn it around pretty quick. Maybe reuse some of these existing things and while adding a couple of new. Really, I have no idea. It's possible, but that would give them a 2.5-year build if it opens up near the end of the year. Although, I think new lands do tend to open up in the summer months generally, so we might be looking at more of a 2-year build. But yeah, if they get moving ASAP, I think they could turn something around.
Oh yeah. And merchandising alone, like, just set up some shops there. They're good.
Oh god, Jesus, yeah. I mean, that'll be nuts. It'll pay for itself in a few weeks.
I mean, you can get card players there, just have exclusive cards released at that park.
Right.
Boom.
So you were already talking about, like, a show idea, like replacing the Barney, or whatever show you mentioned there. You know what my pie-in-the-sky idea or hope would be? If they went like full medieval times on this, where you are sitting in a literal stadium, a Pokemon stadium if you will, and you have like these full costume Pokemon characters, kind of like the Walking with Dinosaurs show, where you have these people dressed up in elaborate dinosaur costumes, but I want them dressed up as Pokemon, and they have like actual Pokemon fights out on like this giant arena, and you can have like a full food thing going on where you eat Pokemon themed food while you're just dining, and you really get into it, like you pound the tables to cheer on your Pokemon team. That could be amazing. I think that's what I want. Medieval times with Pokemon,
crazy,
right?
That would be pretty crazy. And I just thought of something. We're kind of forgetting an element here. Remember, next year is when the Detective Pikachu movie comes out. If it's successful, I guarantee there will be something themed to Detective Pikachu in this park.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So who knows what they'll do there? But man, day in a park with Barney. Let's solve a mystery with Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, there you go. That could be. I mean, that really could be fun. Especially because Pikachu would be able to talk to you properly. So that would be a perfect thing for a stage show. I'm trying to think of what other rides they could do, because when I think of Pokemon, nothing really jumps out at me as being really as being appropriate for a ride, or maybe not appropriate, but like, the games are built around walking around and capturing Pokemon, right? So I'm trying to think what else they could do. So I'm thinking maybe something interactive. Like, could they do some kind of like interactive experience built around capturing Pokemon in some way?
I mean, there's stuff in the games like the Pokemon contests where you dress up Pokemon, or like you have little, like I think Gen 5 had some sort of thing like Pokemon TV where you got your filmed a short little skit with a Pokemon. Like they could do stuff like that. Use some sort of tech in order to have like kids.
As a ride though? That'd be like a show.
Not as a ride, but just an interactive thing.
I gotcha, yeah.
As far as rides, that's a little harder to come up with. The only thing I can think of is like theme it around going after legendaries and all the like crazy stuff that happens as you're going through there. It's a little bit more involved than I think they'll go. A little bit more intense, but I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool, like running into each of the legendaries and avoiding their attacks, and having Ash and Pikachu there to sort of fight them off or whatever, and make comments as you go along. But that's, again, a little bit more ambitious than I think they're going to go with this.
So, Derek, I'm going to be fully honest with you. I kind of tuned you out for the last 30 seconds or so, because I had the idea, what if they made a Pokemon Snap ride? Where it would be, you already had the vehicle for it, so gives you the excuse for having a slow-moving, like, the conveyor belt type things. There's not omnivores. There's some name for it. Anyways, you'd sit sit in these vehicles, you go around on the track, you have to look for Pokemon. It'd be kind of like Where's Waldo 2, and like you get scored. Like the better pictures you take, the better scores you get. So it'd be like Hanuman, or it'd be like Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin at Disney World or whatever, or Disneyland, where instead of having a gun, you're taking pictures. And oh my god, this could be freaking fantastic, I think.
Get scored on them, be able to print out the pictures at the end.
Yeah, it'd be a competition. You're competing with people like, in your vehicle and other people on the ride as well. Maybe taking pictures of certain things would change, like how those Pokemon react. I mean, if they went more like interactive too, maybe they could have it where you could throw like virtual elements at them, like throw apples like in the game, and that would change the environment.
The pester balls.
Yeah, pester balls, right, exactly. God, okay, now I need this, Derek. So, oh my god, if they take over the ET ride, that's already a full building based around this concept of having the slow-moving ride vehicles.
Ooh. See, you're more familiar with this. Like, I have no, like, when I see ET Adventure, like, I have no idea what that means. But if you're saying it's a full-on ride, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a huge show building, too, as I recall. Like, it's a big show building. It'd be perfect for this.
Yeah, screw you, ET. I want to take pictures of Pokemon.
Exactly. Oh my god. Okay, now I'm gonna be crushed if this doesn't happen. So I just got way more stoked for potential Pokemon Land.
All it takes is Pokemon Snap. That's it. That's it. That is completely it.
God, that'd be amazing. Oh, I hope that happens. I wouldn't need a game anymore. I wouldn't need a sequel. Just give me a ride and I'm set.
So what I'm hearing is that we're going to go to Universal Orlando in 2020, right? Yeah. Right, Andre?
We might have to. All right. So, do you have any final thoughts, Derek, on the potential Pokemon Land at all?
Nothing specific. I just think this is a really good idea, and again, something that can shift and get people excited and introduce new Pokemon and just work together to ramp up the new games and like bringing it in that and just have it constantly like be relevant because it's Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pokemon will always be relevant. That franchise isn't going anywhere. So it is a perfect fit for, I think for the park. I mean, it's clear that they are employing a Harry Potter-like strategy here to spread these Nintendo properties around. And I think it's possible that we might even see more of this open up at Universal's other park, being Islands of Adventure. So we could maybe see Nintendo in all three of them. But for right now, we only know about I mean, like, maybe that's where Zelda goes. Zelda takes over one of those islands, and there you go. But for right now, we only know about 2, you know, based on this rumor, which I think is credible. This site's been credible before. This channel's been credible before with these news reports. But yes, we know about, again, Mario Kart and Donkey Kong going to the new park. And again, I love that because they're no longer going to be landlocked. Like before, they were pretty packed in there. In order to expand, they would have had to pretty much to have moved into this new park anyway with a different property, or again to Islands of Adventure. So I love the idea of Nintendo getting a bigger presence here, and I also wonder if it might offer like any hints as to what they may be aiming for with this park. Like, what kind of overall theme are they going to have here?
That's the hard one, because honestly, I could almost see them just making it completely Nintendo focused, but that doesn't seem to be the case. That doesn't seem to be the case.
I don't think so. Yeah,
based on this report.
Yeah, they were
it's
saying
going to be themed with something else. I'm trying to think what would be a good match for Nintendo.
I think there were rumors before of Universal potentially working or to get like a World of Warcraft license. I think. So maybe it could be an overall video game themed park or an interactive, maybe a more interactive based experience. I think there are also rumors or rumblings of them getting Lord of the Rings. I don't know what happened to that. That may not be relevant at all anymore. But yeah, I just kind of wonder like what angle they might take with this. Although it does seem like their existing parks are already kind of like losing their initial focus anyway. Universal Studios now is going to have video game properties, isn't just movies anymore. And Islands of Adventure used to be kind of like literature based, with each island being based on like a kind of like either comic books or a book of some kind. And now it has Harry Potter, which I guess still kind of ties into the book idea.
That's a book.
Yeah, I mean it's a book, but it's using the movie characters, so I guess it does still kind of work, but maybe a little bit looser. So, anyways, but ultimately, I just love this idea in general. Like this could give them so much more room to work with. Like now, I'm envisioning like what a future Zelda world, as I already mentioned. Like I want to go to Hyrule.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's sort of what I thought of too. Is like, okay, let's get a second castle. We got Peach's castle. Let's get Hyrule Castle in this thing.
Right. Exactly.
And theme it. Oh man, can you imagine if they went full on theming with Legend of Zelda like they did with Harry Potter?
Oh, it'd be amazing. It'd be mind blowing.
It'd be so good.
Although, like, I mean, what kind of Zelda? I mean, I know we've talked about this many times before in past discussions, but what could they do for Zelda? Do you think? Like, does anything jump out to you as an attraction they can make for that besides being a show?
No, they could do like some sort of coaster, maybe, or some other kind of ride, but maybe themed to riding Epona and traveling through Hyrule and going through dungeons in some way. Like maybe kind of following along with what Link is doing in a certain adventure. Actually,
I kind of love the Epona idea. Like, what if I'm having flashbacks now to Twilight Princess, where you had to go on that one mission where you had to like save the carriage. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think if they could tie in something of that urgency into an attraction, where maybe it starts off as like a casual jaunt through Hyrule on horseback, but maybe it could incorporate like a bow and arrow mechanic, where you have to kind of shoot these. It'd be, I guess, kind of like a shooting game, where you have to shoot things along the way in order to protect either yourself or maybe a third party, like a carriage.
There you go. Link's crossbow training ride.
There we go. I love the game. So.
No, honestly, one of the things I thought of most was sort of like kind of like a maze in some way, in the same vein as the Lost Woods. Like I think that'd be kind of cool to have like this wood-themed area that you're trying to get through, solving puzzles, and maybe almost make it like a kind of like an escape room.
I actually love that idea. Yeah.
Like I think an escape room on the park themed to Zelda would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, they could have like little mini dungeons or shrines, if you will, you come across.
Yeah, exactly. Like search for the Triforce, and you gotta solve. You're finding pieces as you go through this dungeon.
Once again, it's all in the potential. Like there is infinite potential with Nintendo properties, and I really can't wait to see what they do here. Even though we will be waiting for a little while for the Orlando one, so
yeah, just a little bit. And honestly, I still expect them. Like, do you think we'll get another ride, or do you think it'll stick to those two rides with the possibility of expanding as time goes on?
So I believe, as I recall, it was always going to be 3 rides, and I think the third one was going to be a dark ride involving Yoshi, because the artwork always had all those Yoshis on that one mountain as well. So I think, yes, I think there are always going to be 3 rides, but I think we may be looking at something far more expansive now, at least in the long term. I think in the short term, it may still just open with 3 rides, although I don't know, like now that they're doing a whole park, there may be more there, because they are going to want to fill it out. Regardless, long term, absolutely. We're going to see far more rides now for Nintendo, I think, than we were planning on before. with future phases coming. So yeah, I can't wait.
I can totally see it. I mean,
like we could see like smaller properties now too. Maybe like a Star Fox is obvious. Like I said before, I would love to see a like Space Mountain like ride involving Star Fox.
Ooh, that'd be cool. My idea was alien encounter like ride with Metroid.
Oh, well, there's like a Metroid flying around the room.
Exactly. Have Metroid.
That'd be
like,
cool.
Have like some sort of thing like sucking on the back of your neck or something like that. That feeling.
Oh, that would be. Oh, that's a really interesting way of working with a Metroid property.
Exactly. Have Ridley show up to try to kidnap it, and then of course Samus comes in to save the day at the end.
Yeah, but Metroid, it really is all about having that feeling of isolation, right? So, like, how do you capture that idea in a theme park attraction? So,
I mean, you can't really, and it's, again, this is for a wide audience. They won't care about the feeling of isolation. That's why I think it's going to be just, oh my god, hey, we've in the same way as Disney's like, hey, we captured this Metroid specimen, or specimens, and we're here to showcase the possibilities of this Metroid life form, and then it escapes, and Ridley shows up. And
the alien encounter test tube is already perfect for that too. Like
exactly,
exactly. They literally break out test tubes in the game. Oh man! All right, I kind of love this idea. That would be really cool. That'd be a fun way of working with Metroid, in a way that few properties have been. So.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also, real quick, just getting back to the opponent attraction, a potential opponent attraction. It'd be really cool if, I think, taking a page out of the Avatar Rides book, where they make it feel, I haven't written it myself, but based on reports, they make it feel like you're riding on one of those flying banshee creatures. Like, if they can make it feel like you're actually on a horse, like where you're actually galloping and maybe like jumping like fences or gaps, that could be a super immersive attraction.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, Derek. Any final thoughts all on everything we've learned about Super Nintendo World so far?
I think I covered pretty much everything. I think it all looks good. I think there's a lot of potential here with more space for Super Nintendo World. It sucks that we have to wait, but looking at what the KidZone currently is, God, is that a smart idea to put Pokemon in there instead.
It really is. It's a perfect fit, so... Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited. Like, I've been excited for years. I'm still excited. It sucks to have to wait even longer for the Orlando one, but whatever. I'm going to Hollywood and Japan first, so.
Yeah, I just hope you're bringing me with you. You know.
We'll see, Derek. We'll see. All right, and with that, we're about done here. So thank you for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below. It's a good way to keep updated on everything we post. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for lots more on Super Nintendo World and everything else Nintendo as well. Catch you later. Bye.